Welcome to day one of Squatchmas. This is Todd Prescott, the curator of the Sasquatch Archives, and we're going to start Squatchmas with a magazine that is dated, coincidentally, December 1st, 1975. Of course, what we're looking at is the ever-popular People Weekly magazine. As you can see from the cover, there's absolutely no mention of Sasquatch or Bigfoot or anything pertaining to Sasquatch or Bigfoot on the cover. When you open up the magazine on the first page and you look through the table of contents and you go all the way down to page 72, you'll see the headline Adventure, and beneath that it states the following: Peter Byrne has stalked the legendary Bigfoot for 5 years. So let's turn to page 72. On page 72 and page 73, we see a 2-page spread. And on page 72 specifically, we see famed Bigfoot researcher Peter Byrne. It's a nice photo of him. And on the second page, page 73, we see the article. And the author is Jane Estes. Now, before I begin reading the article, I just wanted to state that it was a huge deal for there to be something of this nature, this subject matter, in such a popular magazine such as People. Think about that for a moment. People magazine featuring the subject of Sasquatch. Huge deal. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the read-along. A former white hunter leads the search for a 7-foot hairy creature known as Bigfoot. For almost 5 years, Peter Byrne has trudged through the mountains and wilderness of the Pacific Northwest, searching for the most extraordinary creature left on the face of the earth. It is the legendary Sasquatch or Bigfoot, and as skeptics insist, it may be as imaginary as the cowardly lion. Byrne obviously believes Bigfoot does exist, and so do hundreds of others who claim to have seen it. Their descriptions are remarkably similar. Bigfoot, they say, is around 7 feet tall, walks erect, and is covered with hair except for his palms, soles, and face, out of which stare piercing dark eyes. According to Byrne, over the past 165 years, there have been more than 300 sightings of Bigfoot in the territory ranging from the top of British Columbia to Northern California. The possibility of finding a fossil man in the 20th century, says Byrne, and finding it in one of the most sophisticated countries in the world seems ridiculous, yet the evidence is there. Byrne set up search headquarters in 1971 in the Dalles, Oregon, inside a neat white trailer that houses a Bigfoot exhibit and information center. He chose the modest town some 75 miles east of Portland because, geographically, it's in the center of what we call the area of evidence. Though he says he has spent more than $80,000 of his own money, Byrne personally has still not seen one of the elusive creatures. His search has been steadfast and often dangerous. I camp out quite a lot in the winter, he says. And once the snow comes, the only way you can get through these mountains is on foot. 2 or 3 times I've been stormed in, but I take adequate equipment along and I know what I'm doing. Convinced there is a pattern to Bigfoot's movements, Byrne compiles evidence of sightings and in some cases footprints, and then goes back to check the area. But we simply don't have the money to do the job we should be doing, says Byrne, who is convinced that if he had $200,000, he could find Bigfoot within 2 years. He has built up a network of scouts, including local and state police. He receives nearly 400 letters a month, some of them about Bigfoot sightings. Of all such reports, he categorizes 91 as credible. One this year was from a brave camper who says Bigfoot watched him cook dinner for 45 minutes. Byrne, a tall, 50-year-old blue-eyed Irishman, spent 18 years as a hunter and safari guide in Nepal and northern India. He first heard about Bigfoot in 1959 while on a 4th and unsuccessful expedition to find the abominable snowman. The two creatures, by all reports, resemble each other somewhat. By 1970, he says, there was renewed interest, and the International Wildlife Conservation Society asked if I didn't think we should start an investigation. It was as simple as that. Byrne's only weapon in what he calls the ultimate hunt is a camera. How long will his quest for Bigfoot go on? Until I'm 105, he replies in a soft British accent, or until I find one. Very interesting. Let's take a look at some of these captions for the photos, starting with the caption for the photo on page 72. That caption is found at the bottom of page 73, and it reads as follows. Armed with his camera, Peter Byrne checks the snow around Ramsey Creek in the Mount Hood National Forest near sightings of Bigfoot. And then it has an insert note pertaining to the photo that is above Peter Byrne's head to the right. And that says, insert, a cast of what may be a Sasquatch footprint. By the way, the photographs are by Robert W. Kelly. And looking on page 72, the photos found there, the first one towards the middle right is of course one of the stills from the Patterson-Gimlin film, to which underneath is stated the following. The clearest picture of the putative Bigfoot turned up in movie film shot several years ago in California. And finally, the bottom right photo has the following caption. Jim Craig, 26, a resident of the Dalles, Oregon, says he spotted Bigfoot on the rocks behind him in 1968. And of course, Peter Byrne is shown to our right. So there you have it. Once again, the significance of there being a Sasquatch Bigfoot related article in such a popular magazine in 1975 is quite astounding. It really speaks to just how popular Bigfoot Sasquatch was at that time through the 1970s. That concludes day one of Squatchmas. Please make sure to check out all the other days. There's going to be some very interesting things on the channel, things that will have never seen the light of day, or things that are extremely rare and or unique.
Please support this channel by subscribing and leaving comments. Stay well, stay safe. Here's wishing each and every one of you a wonderful holiday season. Merry Squatchmas, everyone!